1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get punked, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters gon' move, whatever.
Say, what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down! Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I was arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. Yeah, that's me gassing right there on that intro. And if you want to get that, it is available for purchase only from me on a 10-song EP. If you're interested, hit me up on my email, 16tolifemusic@gmail.com. Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle me $20. I'm going to get it to you ASAP. If you want to hear more of my music, go to my YouTube playlist and scroll down to gas stations. Or just type in 16 to life gas stations and you will hear a lot of my music there. Now let's hop right up into this video, man. So I saw this video a couple of days ago, actually, and I didn't really think that I was going to put any energy into this video, right? But honestly, I got a lot of people to either email me or hit me up on Instagram asking me to give my opinion of this video, man. Actually, one brother in particular was a brother by the name of Nathan, all the way from London, man. So shout out to Nathan, man. Also shout out to the homie Hoodie from the Hood, because I went to his page and downloaded this video. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about.
Can we really talk about this Blueface Jenny 6ix9ine situation, please?
I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
I think it's necessary, yeah.
So Blueface is just like hot right now. Like anything.
But do you think he's a good looking dude? A black dude? African American? Booty scratcher?
No comment. I don't really.
Come on.
I don't really. I don't
There's
really
an answer.
I mean, do you swing both ways?
No.
So I believe what we have is a podcaster by the name of Lucky. And so he's asking a co-host or a lady on his show, what does she think about Jenny 6ix9ine? Now, Jenny 6ix9ine is a Mexican or a Hispanic singer who was dressed pretty provocatively, and she sat on the lap of the rapper Blueface. Of course, you had a lot of Mexicans who got up in an uproar behind this situation. If we're going to keep it 100, many of them was simply upset because she sat on a black man's lap. Now, in this day and age, man, in 2025, my honest opinion about any interracial dating or whatever it is, if you're not doing anything to enhance that person's life financially, mentally, and physically, why should you care whose lap they sit on, whose bed they hop in, any of that type of stuff, right? Anything under that is just immature. You can call it as racist, whatever it is right now. So you hear him ask this female that's on his show, you know, do you like Blueface? Is he handsome? You know, he's an African American booty scratcher. Now, was that comment considered insensitive? Could it be racially disrespectful? Of course, 100%, man, without no doubt. And I don't want to necessarily get into names because I don't want to make this video to seem like it's about this other individual, right? But I seen this other Mexican YouTuber, and a white YouTuber called him Julio, and he said, oh, that guy's a racist, you know, that's a stereotype, so on and so forth. So today I seen a small portion, just a small portion of a video he did addressing this subject. But he's talking about where Adam 16 has mentioned that this dude said African booty scratcher, and he's mentioning that Adam 22 or 16 or whatever he calls this dude is trying to create racial divide between the two groups, blacks and Mexicans. I don't think he went on to address the comments made by Lucky, right? Because in my opinion, he doesn't want to alienate himself any further than he already is from his Mexican people, right? But my opinion is, if you will call a dude out for stereotyping you and being racial, you should want racial equality for everybody, right? Not just yourself. But anyway, my opinion, in the scope of things, if we look at the big picture, who is this dude Lucky, right? What he says really does not matter, man, because he doesn't do anything to affect the lives of black people, right? In my opinion, if we're going to get mad, if we're going to get upset, let's get upset about all the harm and the gang banging that these black gangs are doing to these other gangs, running around killing each other. You know, that upsets me way more than hearing this dude make this statement, right? The lady who happens to be in my life, the mother of my children, a lady who I met back in 1989, her grandmother is full Hispanic and her grandfather is African American, black, whatever you want to describe him, right? Actually, her grandmother was ostracized and kicked out of the family by her Mexican family for dating a black man back in those times, right? So I don't know necessarily how much blood the lady in my life, how much Mexican or Hispanic blood that she has in her, but she has Hispanic blood in her, right? And so to me, it's all about whoever makes you happy, right? I don't know why we put so much energy into who's dating who, and we are not doing anything, once again, to enhance that person's life, and our position or our words cannot affect that person's life. I don't know if you guys remember the former owner of the Cincinnati Reds. I think her name was Marge Schott. Back in the late 1980s, she said something in reference to two of her baseball players, right? And she was paying them a lot of money. And she basically, well, not basically, she was caught on a recording calling them her $1 million N-words, right? Now, her case and situation is a little different because she is a lady, or she was a lady of power, and she employed black people. So her feelings or sentiments about black people possibly could affect their lives. And then, of course, you have black people who was going, because she was the owner of the Cincinnati Reds, going to the stadium, paying money. So now what her words, her words and her feelings toward black people, I can understand people being angry, right? And even more recently, the former owner of the Clippers, Donald Sterling, he was caught on tape saying something in reference to something in reference about a woman that he was dating. He did not want her coming to his games with black people, showing up with black men or whatever, he told her he didn't even want her taking a picture with Magic Johnson, who, if my memory serves me correct, at that time, he was the general manager of the Los Angeles Clippers, right? So these individuals are way different from this dude Lucky on Hood Stocks, right? Donald Sterling, of course, he is employing millionaires, black millionaires. Black people, once again, are going and paying to sit in his stadium, the stadium that he owned at that one point in time, or at least the Clippers. I don't know if he owned the stadium, but at least the Clippers. But my whole point is, it's a big difference when an individual like that makes a statement, an individual who can affect the lives and the well-beings of some black people, and then you have other black people paying to go to his establishment, basically putting money in his pocket, right? So I can understand it's a big difference. But once again, this individual Lucky from Hood Stocks, in the scope of things, this dude is a nobody. This dude is nobody. So I don't necessarily understand, why people get so upset in this day and age when people are caught, saying racial things, right? To be honest, we know there are many people from many different races who, for whatever reason, dislike black people. So how much energy are we going to give these individuals? How much, how much time are we going to, waste talking about these individuals or even getting mad and getting upset. Like I said, I know at this point, in stage in my life, you have many people who do not like black people for whatever reason. So if they're caught saying it, or if they happen to say it, it's really not going to make me upset, because I know that it's out there, right? Once again, my thing is, I believe if we're going to get upset and put our energy into something, let's get upset about the black gangs running around harming people, blacks just killing blacks. I don't know if you guys happen to catch an interview that I done a couple of days ago, and it was an extremely great interview. I believe the name of that interview is The Guy Who Fought Compton Rick Rock Is Back, or whatever, right? And this was an older brother. I believe he's about 68 right now. And he just spoke on how LA was back in the 60s growing up, before there were Crip and Bloods and before the Crips and Bloods were running rampant, right? He spoke of being able to be from an area that is today dominated and populated by Crips, and you could go way across town to an area that is today dominated and populated by Bloods. You could go across town, go to a party there, enjoy yourself, be welcome and embraced, just on the strength of being black. You had no problems. There was so much black love and black unity. It was a wonderful thing. He talked about going to prison back in those times, and the brothers there, when you get there, they would pretty much force, if you did not have an education on you, you would have to go to school and educate yourself. If you came to jail back then for a senseless crime of violence on another black person, you was automatically targeted, whooped, removed from the yard, so on and so forth, right? And, just to me, those are wonderful things. Those are wonderful times that I'm more concerned with getting back to those type of things right there, as opposed to worrying about the comments that some dude who may or may not like black people has said, right? If we just gonna keep it 100, man. And also, to keep it 100 with you guys, there was a point in time in my life where I did not like seeing black women with white dudes or Mexicans, because in my mind, I just felt like, damn, why are you dating outside of your race? But as I grew up and I matured, I realized that there are some black people, there are some black men who do not treat black women the way that they want to be treated. There's sometimes black women walking down the street. A black man may try to get her number. She says no. Then he gets disrespectful, calls her type of names or whatever, right? So you do have some black women who feel that they'll be treated better if they date outside of their race. Now, that is not always the case. Maybe about a month ago, I believe it was on Instagram, you had a black woman who in the car with a white dude, and the white dude was calling her all type of N-words, slapping her and this and this and that. And so, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you date outside of your race, you are going to be treated better. Unfortunately, a lot of men of all races get the wrong ideas and opinions on how to treat women from watching their father, watching their uncles, watching their brothers, or just men that they grew up with and admire for some reason, and either they seen in conversation or they happen to see visually this dude, either be verbally or physically abusive to his woman, and for whatever reason, that dude started to feel that was the way to treat a woman. I happened one time to be in a self-help group with a Mexican dude, and he told me that he hated seeing a Mexican woman with a black man, right? So at the end of the day, there's always going to be people who do not like seeing other people date outside of their race, right? So, just for us to just continually get upset about things that we know exist would be foolish to us, in my opinion, right? Or excuse me, not in my opinion, but as far as I know, the dude who uttered those words, African booty scratcher, as far as I know, he's not running around physically harming black people, right? So, I think just that for me, just to know that you have black people in prison and out of prison running around harming other black people, gang banging, to me, that deserves more attention than the words of an individual on a YouTube channel. But that's just my opinion, man. So I'm not just to let this dude's words get me in a uproar, get me upset, so on and so forth, simply because I know that this attitude about black people is held by many people. So if every time we see a situation like this, we get mad, we'd be mad a whole lot. So for clarification, did this dude say things that was insensitive? Did he say things that was disrespectful? Of course he did. You know, if I was to come on here and say something that was negative in the way of a stereotype about Mexicans, you would have a whole lot of Mexicans angry and upset with me, right? But one thing I do, one thing I don't understand is why you don't have more Mexican YouTubers call this guy out, and when things like this happen, why don't they call him out? You know, I did see Haters World Blue Devil get on this Helmito and call him out about this comment that he made, man. So shout out to Blue Devil. But like I say, I'm not just to get upset or get in an uproar when something like this happens, because it obviously, you know, however these people feel about black people still exists, man. Anyway, y'all already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.